guitars. Chuck's got the questions, digging so sharp. Peeling back layers, hitting the heart. Chuck's Shute podcast, blowing your mind. Every topic, one.
That's amazing. Look at all those records in the background. Wow.
Yeah, man, I've been doing this a long time, so they give you some of those when you do something.
Yeah. Because I know you got records from the first album, but a lot of people might not know you got a gold record from the second album as well.
Second album, also all in the same gang. There's a plaque for that that's not on that wall. Tone Loc stuff, and also that big one up here is Anastasia, and that's the most successful record that I've been a part of. I helped write a song called "Not That Kind," and that album sold something like 7 or 8 million copies.
Wow. Congratulations. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really awesome. And you've got is the Grammy back there somewhere too?
No, the Grammy's in a box. I usually don't take the Grammy out. The AMA is there, and the Billboard Award is there, and my Drink Champs box is there, but I usually don't take the Grammy. I don't keep the Grammy out.
Yeah.
You know, on a daily basis. I'll bring it out from time to time, but usually I kind of, you know, don't have it out as much. But
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, so much success and you're still doing it. Your latest single, Kinetic, I mean, this is great. I feel like I got to warn people though, like they have to be careful when they're listening to this because it makes you want to dance. So I'm like walking down the street in my complex and I'm like, I'm starting to like dance. I'm like, oh, this is not a good look for me. I gotta like hold it back a little bit. So
it's all good. I mean, that's the intent. That's the intent of the song. The funny thing, I just got a wonderful, just unsolicited message from a young lady in Australia, just like paragraphs and paragraphs of how she's really into like what I'm doing now and the growth and all that. And it was really heartwarming to see, but she kind of got everything I'm trying to do lyrically. And, you know, so it's just kind of cool to see what you're trying to put out in the music actually interpreted like that by someone. So it's good. I want to get it out to as many people as I can.
yeah. And I mean, because when you perform, like you do those I Love the 90s tour or whatever, and
Sure.
it's like a lot of artists. So, you know, it's like you only get what, like 5 songs or something. And obviously you're going to do the hits and then you can throw in a couple new songs and that's fun for you.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's fun for you and also the crowd because, you know, sometimes when the artists do a new song, you're like, okay, it's like the chance to go get a soft drink or whatever, or, you know, but you're putting high energy, moving dance songs
Right.
in there. So I feel like that's not it's not like a slow song or something, you know, it's like you're putting exciting, fun songs in there.
And I perform by myself. So it's just me in terms of the stage production. So a lot of times I'm going early in the sets. So the people are, you know, a little bit more receptive, but also, you know, my motto is they'll always give you one, especially a crowd like that. They'll give you one new one. And if they like it, they may give you another new one. So that's what I try and do is make stuff that, you know, because even before I was putting out this new music, I was doing newer material that wasn't my hit material, but I was doing the best stuff for performance. So people would, you know, there was a song called Nocturnal, you know, a couple other ones that I did. But I remember people would say, I like that new stuff. Like that Nocturnal song. I like that That's Right song. They were the ones that weren't the known hits. So I'm like, okay, if I could put something out and actually get some traction, get it charting, get it playing on the radio where they may know it from somewhere else and I'm able to perform it, that may win. And that's kind of what I've been doing with Kinetic, Fun Part before it, and even Loose at the beginning about a year ago.
Yeah. So you mentioned Nocturnal. I think I heard you say that you felt like the third verse of that was the best thing you've ever written. And also
Up to that point, yes.
you have Will Wheaton on is he the one doing because
No, he's not the actor. He's not the actor. He's a singer.
Okay, then that's
Same name.
there's two. Okay, that confused me because I was like, it doesn't sound like him.
No. He's a singer with the him and I joke around. He tells me how some people mistake him and he gets weird IG messages and stuff like that. But no, he's a singer. R&B, big independent R&B singer. Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good song. Yeah, I listened to a lot of the new stuff and I was like, oh, this is like really good. Like, yeah, more people need to hear this. So that's cool that you're able to throw in some songs on the tour then.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that's what keeps it interesting for me. I mean, I should be just happy doing at my age, I should be happy doing my old stuff and just say, okay, it's a job, pack a lunch, go do it, come back. But, you know, there's part of me feeling like I'm making some of the best music of my life right now. You know, it may not be the stuff that's getting out to the most people and whatever, but I don't necessarily subscribe to the fact that uh, my best creative work was done when I was 22. So the subsequent 35 years can kind of, go by the wayside.
Right. Well, and I think sometimes music it means different things to different people. Like a lot of people associate those older songs with that time in their life. Like I know for me, like I remember listening to that whole album. My buddy, my next door neighbor had it, and I was in sixth grade, and we thought you were the coolest thing ever. Like we listened to that so much, like Principal's Office, I Come Off, like all those songs. Like it was amazing. And so like it's kind of surreal to talk to you now. But so I think for a lot of people, they want to relive that memory, but that doesn't mean that they can't become a fan now and listen to the new stuff too, which I think again is really good.
It's an interesting tightrope to walk because I definitely want to give people, what they want and what they're nostalgic about, but also, it's difficult at 57 years old, to say, okay, I'm going to go up there and do Principal's Office and try and do it convincingly. You see what I'm saying? It's like that subject matter so that's part of it too. It's like I want to have the best of both worlds where I can give people some of what they're looking for and also give them some new stuff that they didn't expect.
Yeah. And then so you said you're producing other artists. That's also kind of what you're doing right now as well.
Here's the thing is there's artists that are interested and there's me that's interested. I want to see what the business is of this. So the best representation for the label and all the stuff I'm doing is me putting out my material. And then the response to that will dictate if and how many artists I'm gonna produce and put out, because if I can't see the financial gain from it. Look, I have my old school shows, I have my publishing, I have all these income streams. So I have to see my new music on its own, standalone, making good enough money that'll justify me taking an artist that doesn't have any of those income streams and saying, okay, we can put new music out on you, and this is the way we're going to monetize it.
Yeah. Do you
So
like
I'm really upfront. I'm really upfront with the artists that I'm talking to.
Yeah, do you like being because now you're more experienced, you're older, do you like having that kind of mentor role? Because I interview a lot of musicians and it seems like a lot of them they don't want to do that. Like they just want to be a musician and they want to perform even in their older age. They just don't have interest in mentoring. And I feel like as you get older, like that should be a big part of whatever field you're in is mentoring, even if it's just a part of it, a small part. It should be something, right?
I would think so because it's such an unrealistic business. Not only from the companies and the executives and all that other stuff, but definitely from the participants. So if I'm an aspiring artist, wouldn't I want to take advice from a veteran artist that's been through it before, that's going through it right now? So I may have someone coming to me and saying, okay, well, let's put this song out. It's going to blow up really big. And I'm like, okay, well, my song charted. I'm on the road with it. I'm in front of people. I'm getting this kind of traction on it. I'm getting all kind of press on it. And this is what's happening financially. What can your song do to do better? And if they don't have an answer for it, then I'm like, okay, let me do my thing. And then we'll kind of go. I'm just being realistic because it's very easy to have unrealistic conversations in this business. And I don't want to be that person to say, oh, well, I know it's your dream. We'll do everything to make it happen. I'm going through my dream too, so showing them like what I'm experiencing. I think a lot of times it's people appreciate it when you're honest with them.
Yeah, definitely. And then now are you looking to what style are you looking to produce? Because I know obviously you're known for rap, but you are a fan of rock too. Like, cause I saw this thing on Spin and it was like your top 5 records and Train was on there and Audio Slave. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. He likes a variety of music.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if I go as far as rock bands, but definitely my stuff would go more melodic in terms of the type of acts I'd want to put out. Those 5 albums were really the stuff that inspires me. Or in the case of the Train record, I'd heard, Train stuff before and I'd like the single here or there. So I said I would buy the CD and I put the CD on and I liked every song for the first 8 or 9. And I don't remember another record where I did that. The one that came closest to the other record I had on there, the Post Malone record. Anything recent that I'd heard so many songs in a row that I'm like, this is good, this is good, this is good. So it's more of that list was more of an inspirational musical thing, but in terms of music business, it would be rap stuff, probably some dance stuff, leaning over into pop, potentially if there was a band, because there's hybrid bands and stuff that I've heard that I liked. But once again, I just have to see the business of it, because this music business is totally different. You know, it's
Mhm.
just totally different right now. And if I took my new music as a standalone, you know, it would be really rough. You know what I mean? So just in terms of the finances of it, I'm getting great accolades. I'm getting great, you know, I'm getting great feedback on it. And I know that it's, like I said, it's some of, if not the best music that I've ever made, because I feel like I've taken all my life experience, music experience, you know, stage experience, and I'm able to put that into everything I'm doing on the, you know, on the tracks. So that's really helpful, and I think that's something I can help artists with. But then the business part comes in, because even in the traditional physical media days, you know, 95+% of the albums put out did not even, you know, did not make money. They didn't make a profit. At least not a profit back to the artist. The artist didn't recoup. I guess that's the best
Mhm.
way to put it. So if you're up against odds like that, and there's so much music out on the internet, you got to say, okay, what's going to distinguish? What can you do to, you know, to make this a good venture? Because it's difficult to say, okay, I'm going to become, you know, an internet social media influencer at 57. You know what I mean? It's like I'm more looking to put my music out and get it in front of people, and then whatever bump I get, you know, from social media is great, and then try and make the best of it.
Yeah. Do you think that it's too, because you're right, it is very competitive right now. Anyone can put out music. Does it help to have collaborations? Because I know for me as a fan, I always love that when I see multiple artists that I like, you know, on the same song. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I want to hear how that meshes together.
I mean, potentially. I mean, the thing is my business model has shifted over the last probably 10 years, probably 10 to 15 years, where it's become really stage focused. So the only thing that I get a little concerned about is if you have collaborations, are you going to drag that other artist around with you every time you get on stage, or are they going to drag you around with them every time you guys get on stage, just to say you had a record together that did something, or you're just going to do your verse in your set, they do their verses in their sets, and then the whole idea of it is like, who puts it out? Am I jumping on somebody's record on it? Like, I don't have a lot of guys from major labels calling me saying, oh, you know, guest with me on this record, because I'm not one to like sell a verse or just give away my publishing or whatever. I can put music out and get seen. So, you know, it's been a weird thing. It's You don't see it with rock bands. You don't see it with a lot of pop acts where they need to have a collab to like justify the record. But with hip hop and R&B, mostly minority artists, you have to have collaborations, and it's been something that's like ever since that started coming into fashion, late '90s into the early 2000s. I've always watched it, and you might have some pop artists that'll collab here and there, but if Justin Timberlake or Bruno Mars or someone else were able to, or Taylor Swift or someone wanted to make an entire album with no collaborations whatsoever, they wouldn't blink an eye. A rapper does it. Why don't they have collaborations? That's always been an odd thing for me.
Yeah, it is interesting. Now, how do you do that? Because you do perform, we're all in the same gang sometimes at your shows,
Yeah,
and you only obviously did one verse of that. So how
yeah,
does it
yeah.
work
But
with the other verses?
I do a hook. I do a little intro part, a hook. Well, no, a little intro part that kind of teases the hook. I do my verse, and then I do a hook, and I get out, and that's fine. I could approach everything like that, and you get a lot of material in, and it's good for people with, you know, in this era where people have shorter attention spans. It's funny because there's a bunch of us that are on that record, and a lot of people perform and don't do their verses from that song, and I just felt it was a good thing that people knew. So when I started putting it back in my show, um, I got a lot of good response from it. So that's that. Like, once again, that's an approach I can definitely take. But it would be more likely for me to do a verse on someone else's song as opposed to me pulling in someone to do verses on one of mine, for the simple fact that I kind of think of my songs in 3-act structure, kind of. So you introduce your concept in the first verse, and in the second verse you expand on it, and the third verse you wrap it up. So I've always thought like that. And even though music songs are getting shorter and shorter, um, I try and have something like that, even if my third verse is like a revisiting of an earlier section, like I did in my song "Fun Part." I try my best to be able to tell my whole story, you know. So a collab, you know, is not necessarily out of the question, but it's like the issues that I see in terms of being able to monetize new music go far. It's not like a collaboration is going to solve that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean, I could tell you have the business mind and listening to your interviews and stuff. And I don't know if a lot of people know this about you, but I mean, your degree is in I think it's economics or finance, right,
Yeah,
from USC.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah,
I have a
and you
bachelor's in
would have
economics and
gone
business.
potentially to get your master's if you hadn't broke in the music business.
Potentially, yeah. My parents had given me the summer to get it out of my system, and then I toured the whole summer, and then the record broke, and then by that next February, I had the Grammy. It was platinum, and along with having written Tone Loc stuff, so I had the publishing stuff, side going, the writing side going. So I had different avenues that I could really pursue in terms of my music career at that point. So yeah,
Do you
it was
ever
good. I will
wonder if
say,
you,
no,
what's sorry?
well, I've never written my degree down on a job application, but I've gone into meetings and people have known, that I had the degree, and also they see how I present myself and present my points and that kind of thing. And a lot of times they see that I'm as educated, if not more educated than they are, but they also knew that I had options. You know what I mean? So I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh my God, if I don't get this deal, if I don't walk out of here with a check, I won't be able to pay my rent." And a lot of times that's what a lot of people that deal with musicians, they kind of prey on that. So there may be deals that I missed out on, but I feel pretty good about where I am in terms of in terms of what I've done business wise.
Yeah, I mean, one of the deals that I heard you missed out on, and I was trying to figure out what this was because your manager turned it down. I don't even know if you did you even know about it until after he turned it down. It was a thing with Michael Jackson, and I was trying to figure out what it was. Was that the Black or White song, or which
I
song
I,
was
have,
it?
I don't know what song because the track never came out. I think
Hmm.
it was before Heavy D got on it, but it
Oh,
might have been right after Heavy D got on his. So it may have been that Michael Jackson was doing his best, or wanted to dabble in working with a bunch of rappers. But the story had gotten back to me that my manager had asked for, without telling me, it had asked for a certain amount of money for me to guest appear, thinking Michael has it and the whole bit. And a lot of guys, I don't know, some people I'd heard were doing it for the love or just for the exposure and the like, and it was never got a chance to really get presented to me. So that was the thing. And so only in hindsight, I think I was at Drink Champs or somewhere, I was asked about it, and I brought that up.
yeah. Do you have any other regrets or things like that? Like, is there something, or like when you're looking at younger artists, like, okay, we got to make sure we don't make this mistake. Is there things that you look back on with your career and think, oh, I wish I would have done this differently, or?
I guess there's more deal. I mean, because a lot of times it's not the deals you take, but it's the deals you don't take that it's better that you didn't take them.
Hmm.
So I don't really have a lot of massive regrets of things that I did. So potentially, I guess I could have been a little bit more adventurous because I'm a smart guy. I think well on my feet, and artistically, it's not bad to have music in the marketplace. But having said that, if you look at your career, I look at my career like a sweater. um, if you say, okay, what string would you pull, or what sleeve would you change, or what pocket would you take off, in terms of what thing would you change to make your career better? Well, if you take off a sleeve or take off a pocket, or take a zipper off or something like that, it's not necessarily the same sweater anymore. So I always look at it that the bad always goes with the good. Like a lot of the good wouldn't have happened unless some of the bad had happened, unless I hadn't learned from it, unless I didn't have that experience to pull on when the real beneficial opportunities came my way. So rather than trying to cherry pick the couple of things, I may have chosen something and may have ruined everything else. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because your first album, it was produced by, I didn't realize it was produced by Quincy Jones and the Brothers, right?
Quincy Jones Jr., QD3.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, QD3, Dust Brothers, yeah, and then Mike and Matt Ross, yeah.
And then the second,
Matt Dike
it
and
was,
Matt and Mike Ross.
yeah. Do you
Mhm.
think the second was it was you produced it and
Yeah.
who was it? Oh, gosh, now I'm spacing on it. I
Tribe
had it.
Called Quest was my third album.
Yeah, yeah. That was the
Like
third one.
Alicia Heat from Tribe Called Quest. Yeah.
Yeah, but the second one was you and was it G? That was somebody different, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's mainly me on yeah.
Do you feel like you should have chosen a different, like had those same producers? Do you think that made that much of a difference?
I don't, because the first album was like, a lot of people's first girlfriend, so um they could look at my album and say I should have had them, and we could have looked at their subsequent albums. Or then Dust Brothers went on to do a lot of stuff in a lot of genres. So just in terms of the entire overall production team, there was other stuff that they did that didn't blow up as big as the stuff that I had. So you know it's not something where I sit back, because the stuff that I'm producing now is kind of built on the back of me producing stuff for myself that young,
Right.
where people now are not expecting much of anything from me. And like I said, I feel like I'm pretty much doing some of the best music ever. So
Yeah. Because that first album, you have kind of like your whole lifetime to build it up. Because like when you look
right.
at like the song Principal's Office, I was thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute, because I think that the first album came out after you graduated, around the time you were graduating
Yeah,
college.
yeah. I mean, so I would have written Principal's Office at 21 years old. So I'm talking about literally some stuff going on when I'm, 12 to 15 or
So you're
whatever. So
reflecting back.
literally,
You didn't write it when you were
yeah,
12 or
yeah,
13. Yeah.
reflecting, yeah, yeah, that kind of reflection back. So I mean, it kind of was what it was. And even then, I was old for that song when I made that song. So just it just kind of fell in like that.
Yeah. But I think that's one thing about your songs, that from then till today, they have this like fun, catchy dance vibe. And you've kind of just continued that throughout your whole career. I mean, that's one thing that you've never done something super that I've heard that's super out there, that's way different, that people go, oh, this is Young MC. Like,
Well, that's the thing. It's like when people ask me to change my name or change my style or start cursing or something like that, it's like, why? I'd rather just get better at doing the music that I like to do. I can make that dance vibe, that positive vibe. I can communicate that in music a lot better now than I could, 10 years ago, definitely 20 or 30 years ago. Um, I feel I can kind of share more of my vision in the music. So I want to see where that goes. If I was in any other business, they would say, okay, you're using your experience to make some great work. But in the music business, you're a dinosaur. So it just kind of is what it is.
yeah, when you have the respect of those other rappers, because like it's funny, I had two neighbors when I was a kid. I remember like my one friend, he had like Young MC and MC Hammer and Tone Loc, and then my other next door neighbor, they had all the dirty writers. They had Two Live Crew and NWA and Easy E. But those guys, you toured with NWA and Easy, and those guys respected you.
Sure. Yeah. They thanked me on their album. I thanked Easy and NWA on my album. We were peers. It was like the local hip hop, scene in LA. We all came up together. So it was like I know Ice Cube as a member of NWA. I know, Be Real and Cypress Hill from being, Sen Dog is Mellow Ace's relative. I knew them. I knew them like that. So it's just I always looked at it that I was a local artist, and then I had a record blow up big, and then I became a national artist. But my approach has pretty much stayed the same in terms of who I am and the kind of music I want to make and how I want to kind of bring happiness and joy to people.
Yeah, I love that. And like, I mean, I love that you've added back We're All in the Same Gang, because I feel like that song, I mean, just as a kid, growing up in the suburbs, like I don't know really understood what was going on, but like it's really, now that you look at it, it's more relevant today, or it's as relevant today as it was back then. I mean, what a great idea. You're getting rappers from both coasts to come together and say, look, this is stupid, like gang violence is ridiculous. And I mean, what is your thoughts on that now? Like, how do people
Well,
avoid that lifestyle? Because you never got wrapped up in the gang stuff. I mean, you went to college, you were kind of a straight arrow.
right. Well, the brilliance of All in the Same Gang and my conception putting it together is that
Oh,
he had
it was
access
your
to.
idea to put that together? I didn't know that.
No, my conception.
Oh,
Mike Conception was the guy who put it
oh
together,
yeah,
Grand
sorry.
Jury Records. And
Yes.
so my conception put it all together. But the brilliance of him doing that is that he had access to any rappers he wanted. He could have done just West Coast guys. He could have done just West Coast guys that either were affiliated or lived in neighborhoods with gang activity. He really could. And he went out of his way to make sure that he got me on the record as someone who's basically an outsider. Yeah, I'm making West Coast hip hop, but I didn't grow up in that lifestyle. I'm not affiliated. Don't have any connections to it. But he felt it was important to get my vision or to get my viewpoint on that song. So me writing my 16 verses, I'm writing it as a college kid that's kind of touched down and what I see and what I'm feeling. And I to this day I get compliments on my verse and how my verse stood out in that song. And they had every right not to put me on it because I'm not, you know, born and bred LA guy, but I was in that mix and experiencing it, and they felt that my voice would be able to speak to people, and also be able to speak to someone outside who was listening to that song and say, okay, I can relate to his viewpoint of seeing what's going on from someone that's not from it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, do you think they should do they have a song like that now? Like, why don't they do a song like that today?
It's hard, man. Between all the between the labels and the managers and the money and the streaming
Yeah.
and all that other stuff, I it's not as centralized. I think it would be, and then who do you include and not include and whatever. It would be nice. It would be ambitious, but I just don't see. I think it's too fragmented. The business is too fragmented to do something like that now.
Yeah, because now
I
you
hope
got
I hope,
the
I hope they would, but
I
you
mean,
know.
because people love the feuds. You know, they love the Kendrick Lamar Drake feud. That's a big thing, and everyone talks about that. And there was feuds back then, obviously, and but like I kind of like the like, hey, let's all the kumbaya, let's all love each other, let's get do something positive. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's too cheesy, but I like it.
Yeah, I mean it could be. I mean, but if you have a song with an artist or just a couple of artists and they speak positively with the viral aspect of it, you can get something like that to click. You get a record. If you can get a record like that with just a couple artists to be as big as Not Like Us or as big as some of the other stuff in the battles or as big as the a top 10 single of the year, it'll accomplish pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, because
The
wasn't
internet the internet has changed a lot. So the
yeah
whole idea I mean, a lot of getting so many artists on it is to bring attention to it, right? That you have so many people for different places. Well, people can access music in their phones. So if it goes viral enough, it'll get to people without having to have a whole bunch of artists on it. So it's really the subject matter and then being able to market it right, or get it out to as many people as possible. And people start clicking on it, then you know what would make them click on a song that has 20 artists on it as opposed to a song that only has two or three? If the two or three has some great verses or something and want to click on it, it's only a 2 or 3 minute commitment. They'll click on it. If there's 20 artists on it, it's a lot. I think Same Gang was like 13. So even putting together high single digits to low double digits of artists, I don't think that would be as big of a deal. It's just getting it out to people, because the problem is that it's part of the reason I've been working on music for like a couple of years, and I really haven't even thought of putting an album date together, for the simple fact that as soon as an album comes out, it's pretty much digested in a week or two, and then it's like on to the next. Okay, when's the next one? And I want to give a chance for myself to kind of grow, listening to what's hitting, how people are responding to a single before I make the next single. And then once I get a few in, then I'll say, okay, I'll put together an album and I'll have a track record of singles that people like. And then, they can go through, the 4, 5, 6, 7 new tracks and judge the album as a whole, with the track record of the singles. Because, like I said, you have an artist that hasn't put out a record for a few years, and it'll come out and maybe get a week or two of uh, of publicity and people listening to it. And if there's one song that people like out of it, all of them, and it can get some radio play or get some streaming numbers, then so be it. But then that can easily go away. The next chart comes out. So,
Yeah, it's
you know,
competitive. Would you sell a physical copy of like vinyl and stuff? Because I know that's kind of making a comeback, vinyl. And I've seen some artists do some really cool stuff, like getting very creative with, kind of like box sets and things. Like I had this like death metal guy on. He's got his thing comes in like a coffin, which is really cool for that kind of genre. Like, would you do something like that where it's kind of like a box set or gift set of some sort?
yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to it. I'm definitely open to it. You know, it would be, but once again, that would have to go in hand in hand with the promotion. That would have to go hand in hand with, people knowing that it's coming, that you anticipate a date, that you don't just kind of stumble on it, or it's been out for 2 weeks. Oh, this came out 2 weeks ago. You want to be in a position where you're hitting people from a lot of sides. They're getting a lot of impressions of your music. So I think about all that stuff. Making music now.
Yeah. The other thing I think a lot of musicians are doing to kind of stay afloat is doing like those paid meet and greets. Do you do those? Is that part of the I Love the 90s tour? Can people pay to meet?
I mean, not really. On that tour, I'm mainly an opener. So, the meet and greets are kind of part of what I do when we do have meet and greets. They're like the openers will get together and do meet and greets for people. Um, Once again, I get some traction on some newer music, and people want me to headline, and I'm putting on a bigger show and that kind of thing. Then I may be in a position to do that, and I would definitely be open to it. But for me now, it's like a lot of times, whether it be the corporate events will have, and a built-in meet and greet, some of the public events and the casinos and the like. So, I'm definitely not against it. I just want to make sure that I'm in a position where I can benefit from it and people can get their money's worth as well.
Yeah, I love those casino gigs, like going to the like it's such a great because sometimes you go to these like bar shows or whatever and there's like six opening bands and you're like I just
Yeah.
want to see the one I can't stand
Well,
for
here's
like 7 hours. I want to go. The casino gigs are like get in, get out, and get back to the casino. Like
and you see that as a consumer. That's what they're telling us as performers, that they want us to do like half our set length to get people back on the tables.
mhm.
So it's fine. It's work. So I'm down to do it. So it's I've learned a lot. You learn a lot being on this side of it. So that's
Yeah.
definitely one of those things.
Well, the casino gigs and those festivals and like the cruises and stuff, I would assume those pay the most. But I would think as an artist, the funnest thing would be a headlining show where you could play like an hour and a half and do all the deep cuts, the new stuff, like, and you have your real hardcore fans there that are gonna love it all.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, that's great if you know that you're enough of a draw to fill whatever venue as the headliner. The last thing you want to do is be a
Yeah.
headliner, and then you see the ticket sales aren't there, and that's happening for everybody. So the one thing I can kind of hide behind is being in a support act is that I know that I can bring in a certain amount of people, but I don't necessarily have to make sure I fill it to capacity. So you know once again, get some traction on newer music. You never know what happens.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's like, yeah, again, maybe you're not going to be able to fill stadiums and do a whole tour, but like some shows like that for your diehard fans, I think
Sure,
that would be fun for you and the fans.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Could you ever do headlining shows? Because you're in Scottsdale here. You're in the same city as me. Do you ever do shows here live?
Not a lot, because a lot of times I guess they assume that I'm just that I'm going to have a massive guest list, or people aren't going to show up, pay to show up to come see me. So a lot of times I'll have tours that I'm on come to um, Phoenix and Tucson. And there was like a Tucson show I was supposed to be on, and they pulled me off as they shrunk the number of acts down. So anything I do here is going to have to be, unless unless something big comes up, it may have to be something I put together, which I'm working on. I've been talking to a lot of people in the scene here, so that's it's not out of the realm of possibility that I do something local here.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I'd like to come see
Yeah.
you. I haven't even seen these I Love the 90s shows. I've heard about them. I mean, you've got it's like it's a variety of artists. Like they kind of switch it up because
Kind
there's
of.
like Vanilla Ice,
Yeah.
Color Me Bad, Salt and Pepper, CNC Music Factory, right? There's some of them.
Well, yeah, Salt and Pepper hasn't been on for a couple of years now, but yeah, Vanilla Ice, Color Me Bad, Rob Bass, Tone Loc on some, myself, sometimes Montel Jordan, All for One sometimes, and it's been fun not only meeting people and seeing the crowd's reaction, but they're fun nights. They're really fun events to go do.
Is Mark McGrath on some of them too?
Mark McGrath has been on a few, yes. Yeah, Mark
That's
McGrath has been on. I think he started in 2017, and he had done some with us, and he's on some from time to time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I heard you talking about how you saw him and DMC covering the Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
but you didn't post about it because you're like, I'm just going to be
Yeah.
a fan. This is so cool.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I recorded it. They did Fight for Your Right at this. It was actually a birthday party for a friend of Mark's, and I was on it and a couple other acts, and I just stood there and was a fan. It was a great night. Mark's a great guy. We went to college together, so he's
Oh, you did? I didn't know
yeah,
that.
he was at USC when I was, yeah.
That's so weird.
We
Yeah.
didn't know each other there. We didn't know each other there, but yeah, but he was there when I was there.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, it's so weird. Like one day he just like followed me on Instagram. I was like, what the hell? Like, it was so weird. But I'm
Mhm.
friends with like Brett Michaels, guitar player, and so he was telling me, he's like, yeah, no, Mark is a huge music fan. Like he knows more
Oh yeah.
than anybody about music.
His drummer Dean is me and Dean Butterworth will sit and have massive conversations about all different kinds of music, and any questions I have about drummers or drummers that I like or drummers that I've worked with, he'll describe their styles. I mean, it's that we've had some very very involved music conversations, and it's pretty cool to have. It's coming from a rap person to hear, some ideas or thoughts I have on music, or some confirmations based on what he's telling me.
Well, I thought one drummer that you worked with that I thought was really cool was Faith No More, Mike Borden. I was like, oh, he played. I
Yes,
think it was your second album. I don't know if you ever
yes,
were,
he did.
if you were in the studio. A lot of times you're not there or whatever. But
No,
I thought that was pretty cool.
he slept in my guest room. No, no. So Mike Borden slept in my guest room at the house, and then came to the studio and did the session. No, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, it was great.
Did you
Yeah,
have a lot of?
there's a video out there of me getting on stage and doing Epic with them at the Palladium. I could not sing for anything, but yeah, but I ran up and did that. No, Patton was great. As the years go on, people have seen how talented Patton is. I actually went to a Mr.
Oh,
Bungle show with my lawyer, and it's totally different. But he sings like an angel. He's got like one of the
yeah.
strongest voices in rock. So it's like I felt so privileged to be able to be around them and experience that. And Borden was a great drummer, and those guys are still doing stuff and whatever. It's just really cool. Like that many years to kind of look back.
Oh yeah, I love Faith No More. Patton, he's in like 7 different bands, but yeah, he's crazy talented.
Hmm. Very
Yeah.
much so.
Did you have other? I know Flea played on your record too from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Then
And
that one I didn't even know about until
yeah,
after it was done. The label did all that. Yeah. So
yeah.
yeah.
But they're on Capitol. Some of the other artists on Capitol at the time when you were on there: Poison, Megadeth, Nine Inch Nails, Iron Maiden, Sammy Hagar, Great White, Alice in
Yeah, but I
Chains.
mean Capitol's all over the world. I would
Yeah,
go to the tower in LA, and I'd see the guys that I knew there, but it wasn't like I was going to a lot of functions and seeing a lot of the artists. I met the guys from Crowded House and a couple of other acts and things like that. But that I was in a place where I'm literally trying to get my keep my career going. So there wasn't even a thought of the reaching out because I never really was in a position where I felt grounded there. I had 2 albums there, and then everything was independent after that.
so you didn't run into those guys, or did you run into any other rock bands either at festivals or backstage at award shows, or have any run-ins with
I
stuff
mean,
like that?
weird stuff. What is it called? Switchfoot. I met them on a plane. The lead singer Hoobastank I met outside of an hotel. I mean, just weird. Now, oh God, closing time. What's the name of
Semi Sonic, I think it's called.
Semisonic. So the lead singer is a great songwriter. So I met him outside of a cafe. He had written for the Dixie Chicks and the like. And their second album, I mean, the first album was good, and there's other singles on that were great. And the second album was pretty strong too. But I remember meeting him outside of a cafe on Third Street in L.A. and having a long conversation. Just a lot of people I met. A friend of mine had sent me the night that I was on stage at Faith No More. I had taken a picture with Ozzy Osbourne, Pat, and me, and I didn't realize, and the lead singer of Metallica, and I didn't realize who all was in the picture until my buddy had sent me the picture, the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, I remember meeting Ozzy, and I remember obviously being there, for Patton, so yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's so crazy. Such a like a whirlwind. And I know, I think I heard you tell a story that Bruce Hornsby was one of the people that
Yes.
reached out to you after you won a Grammy and treated
No,
you like a respected musician.
no, it wasn't even reached out. He was there that night,
Hmm.
or the events around it, because I think his stuff was bigger. He was still around, hanging, going to the events and the like. And I just remember having really nice interactions with him, and he's such a musical, musical guy, and it just felt so good to be welcomed like that because there are a lot of musicians that, musical people that didn't really feel that rap was as musical as it actually was. So you're kind of fighting through that and kind of showing that you're kind of representing a genre that's going to be around, that's going to stick around, that's going to, have impact. And it's not just, guys sampling and turntables and not much else talent. So it was just good to get that kind of validation for somebody like Bruce Hornsby.
Yeah, I love that. I love. Did you ever have like a rock rap collaboration? Because I know that was a big thing. Obviously, your boys in Public Enemy and had one with Anthrax, and then I heard this one. I don't think it's ever been released, but Guns N' Roses did one with Easy E, and I don't think it ever came out. But was there ever one that you did that didn't get released?
I I did. Oh God, and because I'm aging. There was a song I had on my one hit. Was it my one hit wonder album? A song called Mr. Right Now. Um, and I had actually performed it with him one time, and there was a mosh pit in front. It was more of a punk band. Oh man, uh, I'll have to look it up.
Oh, so what? But it was released then.
Yes, yeah, it was released.
Okay, maybe see, I can see if I can Google that one. Yeah, because I was going through your discography, and yeah, there's a lot. There was another thing that you had that was like demos or something, and I was like, oh, these are really interesting. Like there was a song you had called "All That in a Bag of Chips," and I was like, this is a pretty good
Yeah.
song. Like, and I remember when that saying was big, so that must have been from the '90s or something, right?
Yeah, it was interesting because it got to the point where I was digitizing everything that I did, and I was digitizing everything I did, and I had a bunch of songs, not tons, but I had a bunch of songs that hadn't come out for whatever reasons, and the ones that didn't have massive samples or clearance issues or anything like that. I'm like, let me just put these out, and yeah, all that in Bag of Chips is one of those that it just never made an album, but it had kind of a New Jack Swingy feel to it. I'm like, okay, that would be good just as a retrospective for people to kind of, kind of get this out and get it seen.
Yeah, and then the other one was I don't even think it's you recorded it, but there was a song you wrote that was supposed to be like a Lakers theme song with Tone Loc that never got put out. But you have the lyrics somewhere like written down or something.
Yeah, it's called oh, it was about the Lakers. It was about the Lakers three-peat. And I'd written the song and we'd put it in and put it in and Tone never went in the studio and made it. It was supposed to be like a third single, but Wild Thing had lasted so long and Funky Comedina was such a massive hit behind it that that by that time actually Bust a Move was happening. So I think that was part of it too, that I may have stepped on some of it,
Yeah,
with what I was. Yeah.
that's awesome. And then you also, because
Mhm.
you also, besides music, you've also kind of dabbled in film, right? I mean, you acted a little bit and directed.
Acted a little bit, made a film called Zero Sum in 2015. Yeah, it's something kind of a bucket list thing. And also, like I said, I write my songs in 3-act structure, so kind of like it felt good to do something where I actually played out 3-act structure, and going through that experience actually helped me as a producer and as a musician going forward in terms of the editing process and getting your whole story out.
Storytelling, yeah.
Oh, by the way, the name of the group was Rubberneck. Rubberneck
Ah,
was the name of the rock group. Yes.
okay. I'll have to check that one out. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I mean, I feel like that's the with the films and stuff too, and obviously your music is in so many commercials and movies and TV shows like that. That is such a big part of the income for musicians now because they just obviously the record sales. Even if you sell millions, it doesn't their streams or whatever. It doesn't really do anything. So, but getting your music in film and TV and commercials, that's really lucrative, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Especially if you're in a position where you have full ownership, or at least some ownership or some kind of stake in the master and the publishing. And those deals are made. Those are the deals that keep the record companies and the publishing companies afloat, regardless of what the music business does.
Yeah, and then like when you were in that movie Up in the Air and you kind of played yourself at like a corporate event, is
Yeah.
that's a real thing, right? Corporate events, they hire these big name musicians and they pay really well. Have you ever done those kind of shows?
Sure, yeah, definitely. Definitely. We've taken the 90s tour and we've done corporate events with 90s lineups in different iterations, because a lot of times those corporate executives are in the age group that would appreciate what we do. So definitely, and especially doing something clean, especially doing something that being easy to work with and the like, and because you're dealing with corporate executives and all the office politics, as well as everything that goes on with putting on a show regardless. So yeah, those have been fun to do.
Oh, it's fun. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that's like lucrative too. I mean, if it's a big company, it's a private show, they could pay you
Yeah,
really
I
well.
mean, they're not stupid. A lot of these companies did not become, multi-million or multi-billion dollar companies by overpaying people. So they deal with real agents. They deal with real folks in terms of putting the business together. And I'm not going to say that they don't pay well. They do pay well, but it's not like you continuously get especially being in my position with a big record from 30 plus years ago. you're usually going to get paid close to what you normally get paid, for something like that.
Hmm. Do you negotiate all that stuff yourself, or do you have a manager at this point?
No, I have a booking agent that does that, and then he'll come to me and we'll decide together what I'm taking and not taking. Sometimes it's better to take less if that's what the marketplace is saying. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's you have to kind of see whatever not only what everyone else is doing, but you don't want to go out there and undervalue yourself. So I want to make sure that I still get a good chance to get out there and work, but I don't want it to be that I'm the cheapest guy in the block and if you want a big hit with a cheap show, just call Young.
Yeah. You so again, back to Vanilla Ice, because you've done a bunch of shows with him, right?
Couple hundred, yeah, several hundred, yes.
But you didn't become friends with him or have a relationship until later.
Um, I knew him from before. I guess we didn't, weren't in contact until this tour, but I knew him from back in the day when, his stuff was big. I'd meet him at award shows and other places.
Well, I always wondered, like back in the day, like what did rappers think of like Vanilla Ice and like white rappers? Were they like, what did they make fun of him? Because I feel like when you watched Living Color, they kind of made fun of Vanilla Ice. Like they kind of thought he was kind of a joke. Is that what you guys thought of Vanilla Ice when he first came out, like back whenever it was,
You can't.
90?
Thing is, he was put out on EMI, which was part of Capitol. So part of their flag waving over there was that we have Hammer that did 15 million and Vanilla Ice that did 8, 10, 12, whatever it was million. From my standpoint, you couldn't laugh at that. If I could have done half of that there, I'd have been happy about where I was. You know what I mean? So, and remember, this is coming from a guy that I made a crossover record, and people were saying stuff about me and making jokes about me when Bust a Move was a big pop record. There was a lot of times where guys wish that they had a wish where they're capable of making a pop record like that. So I would always look at the criticism of someone like Vanilla Ice or Hammer or me, or even I've seen when Dr. Dre went platinum, I heard, I saw comments about him. And a lot of that is just coming from a place of jealousy. It's like, oh, that can't be me. So let me, just talk crap to just say that it's not valuable. But I go out there, I'm in front of the people, I see the crowds, that are fans of his as well. So
Yeah.
kind
When now when you mentioned Dr. Dre, you knew them, you opened for them when they were NWA. You knew him back then. I mean, this guy, it's so cool, his story, because obviously he's a good rapper, he's a great rapper. I loved him in NWA. He was able to evolve and have a solo career. Then he's able to evolve and have Beats by Dre. I mean, I think, is he a billionaire? Like, I mean, this guy has parlayed his hand so many times. Like, did you know that back in the day? Like that, like you looked at him and relationship, like you just knew this guy was like really smart, good businessman.
he was producing for NWA, and then um his easy stuff, his solo stuff, Aftermath, Death Row at the beginning, he was behind all of that. So just being able to parlay that, and then the Beats by Dre thing was him and Jimmy Iovine, and it was brilliant. So um I knew Dre was creative, and he produced me on All in the Same Gang. So even that experience I was able to kind of parlay into my own production and even other stuff that I did creatively. So I've always had a good feeling, in terms of his talent, in terms of what Dre could do.
Yeah. Have you looked at that and thought, I mean, obviously now you're doing producing too. Or are you looking at maybe some sort of, or have you tried like some kind of side business like headphones or, vitamin 50 Cent's got vitamin water and stuff like that? I feel like that's just, some of these guys have their hands in so many different things. It's like, but it's smart. It seems to work out for them.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you got to make sure that you're in something that that you can, hope that you can hopefully see works out. Not saying you want to predict everything, but just, a good solid business opportunity I'm always open for. So I'd definitely be down, for some things. I got some stuff going with the AI now that that looks really promising in terms of what that space is going to evolve into, especially with me using it in music and showing actual, practical applications and records that are charting and, and branding and that kind of stuff. So that's where I've kind of put my hat in. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah. Talk about how you're using AI in the music, because it's not like you're making the whole song with AI. You're just using it as a
No.
supplement. I mean, just like rappers would use records and sample things, like you're using it
Yeah.
as a tool. I think it's cool.
Yeah, that was my thing, is that it was like a 0 to 60 thing. Either someone was making the entire record with AI, or people were just poo-pooing AI and saying, we had no use for it at all. And I said, well, there's a happy medium.
Yes.
That I can still be creative, still make my music, but have an element of it that's intriguing. And I'm actually in the process of getting the visuals together to take that on the road with me. It's quite expensive, and I have like 3, 4 different companies involved and the like. But to be able to be on stage and performing the records and watching AI answer me, in the songs,
Hmm.
and having, interludes and that kind of stuff, that's going to be fun. So this is kind of the pinnacle of what I've been working on for several years, putting all this together. So probably by the summer, I'm hoping to have it integrated into the shows, or at least on the 90 shows, I'll have it.
Hmm.
So that's what I'm really looking forward to see what the response is, not only from the old school fans, but fans of the newer music, because obviously the AI is actually integrated in the newer music, and then also from tech companies and AI companies and the like, just to show once again practical application of a fully generated, AI generated character being in the music and interacting with the musician and the audience.
Oh, that sounds really intriguing. I got to check that out. That sounds really fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me too, because you have a song, your biggest hit, "Bust a Move." It was remixed by Diplo. How did that come about? Because that's a big name. I never heard of him until we were at a concert one year. It was in Scottsdale, and they're like, "Oh, Diplo is performing." Like, I don't know who this is. And now, obviously, he's huge. How did that come about? Does he have to get permission to do that, or he just remixed?
It wasn't me. It was the master owner. So it would have been Delicious Vinyl or Concord at the time, and I don't know. I would assume they approached him, and went out to do a remix. The irony of it is, and because I've done remixes as well, it's like the remixes on Bust a Move just don't get much traction.
Hmm.
Like no one has ever asked me to do a different mix of Bust a Move on stage. They only want to hear the original.
Hmm.
So whether it doesn't matter. Diplo, I think Aaron, I'm not sure if it's Aaron LaCrate or but definitely several people
Yeah.
have remixed the record, and the fans only want to hear the original.
Hmm.
And my remix, I was able to take my break verse, because I have a verse that I do in the breakdown, and that's never been released on an actual record except my remix. So even that, if you're gonna do it, do it over the original song.
Yeah.
So
And you do a freestyle rap in the tour as well. Is that something that you rehearse, or is it literally like on the spot? You just different every
no,
time?
no, no, it's something I rehearse, and that's, once again, some of the shows like the the casino shows and stuff like that, when you want you to go quick, so that's mainly meant as an encore. But yeah, no, it's something that I've done. It was the fastest rhyme for my first album.
Mm,
So
that's
do it a little
cool.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exciting. I was gonna ask you about Train because I know you said you're a fan. I noticed they follow you because whenever I go to
Yeah.
look at somebody's like, who do we have in common? Oh, Train. Oh, Train follows you. Have you ever like had any interactions with them?
Little bit, and that mainly was from that list. So just cool, the pleasantries, and Pat's a cool guy, so we've talked. So yeah, I mean, once again, it's good because doing this, like, as long as I've done it, I know the success I've had and the like. I know what it's like from my standpoint. But if you talk to someone who you respect and you respect their artistry, they've had a lot of success. They know who you are and they respect what you've done and that kind of thing. It's good. So that was a cool thing with that whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a lot of people that are fan like Will I Am and uh, Flavor Flav and all these people that follow you.
Yeah,
Russell Peters, Monte
Yeah,
Jordan. I mean,
Flavor's a good friend. Flav, it's funny because I literally grew up as a fan of Flavor Flav, and then it's a few months back, I get a text from him with a video of he's in a karaoke bar and a guy's on stage doing Bust a Move, and he's singing along with it, showing a whole crowd. And he sent me the entire video. I'm like, that's Flavor Flav sending it to me. You know what I mean? So that was a cool moment. Once again, I'll never share anything like that, but just to get that experience is like very cool.
yeah. Did you ever do shows with Public Enemy?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you did. Yeah, that would be a
Yeah,
fun
I want to say it was a few shows back in the day. Yeah.
back in the day. Okay, yeah. Because
Mhm.
it's hard to find records. I know you toured with NWA, and then and also Milli Vanilli, and so I was just trying to figure out what other
Yes.
bands that you
Military
had.
was a whole summer.
Yeah, That was interesting because I heard you say that, you know, people were saying, oh, like, you know, they lip synced, and then you were like, well, there was actually a lot of artists that lip synced. They're just the ones that got caught, and that was like that kind
Yeah,
of raised my
exactly.
eye. I was like, whoa. I
And
mean,
also, their mics were live. So it's not like their mics, you know, them they
yeah,
were singing over, but they were backing tracks. But there were a ton of the
sure.
point I was making, there were a ton of artists that had backing tracks, like had substantial vocal backing tracks in that day, but you know, made that big of a deal. It's like if you're jumping around, dancing all over the place, falling out of breath, but the verse and the hook are totally perfect lyrically. There's something, you know, there's something to that. Which once again, if that's what the audience is looking for, then that's what the live performance is. I just don't like the bashing of Milli Vanilli, you know, like they what they did was so egregious that other people didn't do it. Number one, and number two, you know, they saying how the Grammy being taken away was justified, and I'm like, okay, well then who does the Grammy go to? Like if you're going to take it away, then it's taken away from somebody deserving. Is it to the background singers that sang on a record? Was it to the act that came in second place? They really didn't care about any of that. They more cared about just taking it away from Milli Vanilli. And I'm, you know, so at that point I just thought it was, you know, somewhat of sour grapes, and people, industry people being upset that secret got found out.
Mm. Yeah, no, it is. Did you watch that documentary about it? It's a really fascinating story.
I haven't. I need to. I definitely need to, but I haven't. I think I handed them the Grammy if I'm not mistaken. So that was why that was brought up to me, but I haven't gone back and actually looked at it because I know how sad it was. I'd spent a lot of time, and Rob's passing was heartbreaking for me. So
Yeah, I mean, you've had a few that are close to you. That's, I think the most recent, you know, my condolences because you were close to Coolio, and he recently, and
yeah.
everyone was kind of really shocked about that one. Like, how do we avoid these kinds of things from happening? But I don't want you to betray his trust or whatever. But is there something we can learn from these kinds of passings of people too young?
I mean, you just hope that people see it and learn from it. I can't really, you know, I can't really say much more than that. You know, it's heartbreaking to go through. But having said that, you know, we're getting to the age where, you know, just regular people are passing away from, you know, from regular events in normal life. So, you know, it's just you deal with loss the best you can.
Sure.
And, you
Yeah.
know, something like that, you know, you take it as a teaching moment to try and keep yourself as healthy as you can. And and that's it.
Yeah, well, that's what I also find so interesting about you. You never, because I think you talked about how you had some sort of liver issue as a kid. So by the time that you were old enough to try alcohol, you didn't like it, and so you didn't really ever drink very much or smoke. You didn't do drugs. You stayed away from all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, and a lot of the things that would lead me down to it, I kind of dealt with. I'm very self-confrontational. So if there's something that has to be dealt with, you know, my motto is do what you have to so you can do what you want to. So a lot of times the have to is like the annoying stuff or the stuff that would grate at you. So instead of letting that linger and play in the back of your head, you just get that done and then you get to do the stuff that you want to do. You don't need any substances or anything like that to you know, kind of get through things. So that's how I've dealt with stuff. Because it's really easy to fall in this business, man. Oh, they don't like you anymore. Oh, you're not as popular as you used to be. All that other stuff, and just you kind of take it with a grain of salt, take it for what it is, and you try and live the best life you can and make the best music you can.
Yeah, well, you've inspired so many people, and you've made great music, and you're still making great music. And I think that's the importance of doing interviews like this is to let people know that you're still out there, you're still making music, you're still touring, like you're doing great
Mhm.
stuff, and just got to let the
Thank you,
world know.
man. Absolutely. No, look, I've been happy with the response that I've gotten. It was a fight at radio initially, and now, you know, the more people that have opened up, I've been able to get, you know, more traction with my music, and it's allowed me, you know, kind of prompted me to make better music. So I'm can't wait to see what the future holds, not only creatively, but like I said, putting the AI into the live performance and really seeing how people respond to it. Because a lot of times, a lot of the audiences I'll go in front of, they won't know any of the new music, and the AI will just seem like a stage prop. But if I put on a good performance, it may get them into the new music, and then have just that technology kind of you know, open up some other opportunities.
Yeah, I think too, you mentioned radio, but I would also say the big thing now is like getting on the playlist, right? Like you get on so and so's
Mhm.
playlist, then everybody listens to that playlist and then they listen to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. No, no. And definitely. I mean, and that's a business that I'm, still learning more about, and yeah, I have more of an entrenchment, and people, there's not a lot of people in playlists that were around when Bust the Move came out, but there's a ton of people in radio that were. So, that once they realize like, oh, he's coming with stuff like he did before, I think that, one kind of influences the other. So that's what I'm, keep pushing and looking forward to.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much for doing this. This was a bucket list interview for me. I really appreciate it. Anything
No
else to
problem, Chuck.
promote?
Thank you, man. No, just follow me, Young MC 89, I Love the 90s tour. There'll be other touring opportunities, maybe some, privates, casinos, that kind of thing. But I'm definitely out there, definitely do it. And I'm looking forward to being in front of people this summer, years to come. And my hope is to get some music out there, some new music where people can really see what I'm doing and um and really get a vibe. So Kinetic, Fun Part, Loose, I have videos for all of them. You can see all those on YouTube. So once again, Young MC 89 on Instagram. Please follow me, and looking forward to see you out there on the road.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
All right. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
One of a kind, from the rockers to the wise men.